Evolution 2 might just happen. There are a bunch of rumors and reports going around that WWE is finally planning a sequel to the iconic event scheduled to happen around July of 2025. So if the rumors are true and Evolution is coming back, what will the match card be? Let's speculate. I'm Brandon and this is Wrestling Talk. Okay, this is awesome. WWE fans have been wanting another Evolution ever since the first one happened back in 2018. For those of you who don't know, Evolution was the first ever all-women PLE or pay-per-view at that time in WWE history. And the fact that it's coming back is so exciting because that means we can get an awesome match card. Now, at the time of recording, WrestleMania hasn't happened yet. The WWE Draft, if that's happening, hasn't happened yet. The Queen of the Ring tournament, again, if that's happening, hasn't happened yet. So there are a ton of unknowns, which makes booking this match card a bit difficult. We don't know who's gonna hold which title, what brand superstars are gonna end up on, not to mention who's gonna hold the Money in the Bank briefcase, which is why I'm just gonna straight up book my dream card. Pushing all of that stuff to the side, what are the biggest matches that I want to see on this card? And once you start looking at things through that lens, you realize Evolution 2 could be another WrestleMania, because the women's roster is so stacked that you really have the potential to just get dream match after dream match. So let's get started. So there are certain matches that are locks to be on the card. You have 2 world titles and 2 mid-card titles. I think they will all be defended at Evolution. Beyond that, you got the women's tag team titles, and then I think you're going to have at least one non-title match. Now, for any other PLE that wasn't Evolution, I would say NXT is not going to be featured on it at all. But there was an NXT presence at the first Evolution, and I think part of the reason Evolution 2 is even happening is because the women's division on NXT is so stacked. So because of that, I think you will absolutely see an NXT presence at Evolution. Now, are all of these matches going to be on the card? Absolutely not. You're probably going to get 5. But just for fun, let's book them all. Starting off with the WWE Women's Championship. Currently, it's going to be Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, and I am so certain at this point that Charlotte Flair is going to win. I've made a bunch of shorts on it already. I think it's the right move for Charlotte to beat Tiffany and then have it lead to a larger story between the two. But that doesn't mean that the big rematch needs to happen at Evolution. I'm talking long-term storytelling. So for Evolution, I just think you need Charlotte defending the title in a big dream match. And going off of the most recent episode of SmackDown, I think that match is going to be Charlotte Flair versus Jade Cargill. Coming off of WrestleMania 41, I think Charlotte's gonna beat Tiffany and Jade's gonna beat Naomi. Once that happens, I think we are officially on the build-up to Charlotte versus Jade. Again, I don't know how we're gonna get there, but going off of SmackDown, this match is happening. And I think Evolution is the perfect place to do it. It could potentially main event. And again, when I look at the SmackDown roster where Charlotte will be champion, the biggest match you could do is Charlotte versus Jade, and I cannot wait to see it. Moving on to the other world title on Raw, the women's world title. At WrestleMania, you got Io Sky defending against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair in a triple threat, and I am still pretty confident that Bianca is going to walk out as champion. I think Io Sky's big crowd-pleasing moment was just her winning the title off of Rhea Ripley in the first place and going to WrestleMania as champion. If she does retain at WrestleMania, it would be awesome, but also kind of predictable. With the story obviously being that Rhea and Bianca were just so focused on each other that Io was able to escape with the victory, and I think that makes her look kind of weak either way. And I definitely don't think Rhea's gonna win the match either, because I think her whole victory is just being added to it. She lost the title on Raw. She wasn't supposed to be in the WrestleMania match, but she threw a temper tantrum and will eventually get her way into it. I don't think her politicking her way into the title match and then winning is necessarily the best story. So to me, I think Bianca winning and keeping her WrestleMania undefeated streak intact is absolutely the way to go. But that begs the question, who is she going to then face at Evolution? And I think this is where we finally get the one-on-one match that we thought we were going to get at WrestleMania, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. Initially, I did not like that it was going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania. Obviously, I love Io Sky, so it's awesome that she gets the opportunity, but there was always that part of me that just wanted the money match, Rhea versus Bianca. And no matter who wins at WrestleMania, whether it's Io, Rhea, or Bianca, you know that Rhea and Bianca's story is not done. It's in fact just getting started. So if Bianca wins at WrestleMania, the next biggest place to do this match, if not WrestleMania, is Evolution, because it's so novel. There's only one Evolution PLE so far in history. And when you look back at that match card, you had Becky versus Charlotte, two wrestlers that are just destined to fight forever. I think Rhea versus Bianca is going to be this Evolution's Becky versus Charlotte. Two wrestlers that are just destined to fight forever. And again, similar to Charlotte versus Jade, this could absolutely main event. It could be a 5-star classic. Moving on to the women's IC title, currently held by Lyra Valkyria. Clearly at this point, you're not going to get her versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. I actually think Becky is going to return on the Raw after WrestleMania. All that being said, I think the match at Evolution has to be Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. Similar to Rhea versus Bianca, if you're not going to get this match at WrestleMania, the next biggest place to do it is Evolution. But Evolution is a few months after WrestleMania, so I actually think it's very possible that Becky walks into Evolution as the IC champion. Because if Becky returns on the Raw after Mania, she could pull another SummerSlam 2021 where she just challenges Lyra for the title, takes it off of her in 30 seconds, and then there you go, Becky's the champion. Do I think that's going to happen? No, but it's possible. These two already have history. Lyra beat Becky for the NXT title, so I think Becky versus Lyra for the IC title is the perfect sequel in their story. And then one day, who knows, it can be Becky versus Lyra for a world title. But again, when I think of the biggest possible match you could do for Lyra and the IC title, it's Becky Lynch, so book it. Moving on to the Women's US Championship, currently held by Chelsea Green. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look like the US title is going to be defended at WrestleMania. Chelsea is currently feuding with Zelina, and I actually see that match more so happening on the SmackDown before WrestleMania. But either way, whether it's defended at WrestleMania or not, I do think leaving WrestleMania weekend, Chelsea will still be your US champion. Why? Mainly because of Alba Fire. They just introduced her as one of Chelsea's bodyguards. They're just kicking off this story of Alba Fire and Piper Niven being like her secret service. So I don't think Chelsea losing the title at WrestleMania is the right way to go if you're just starting to build this new faction. So I think Chelsea walks into Evolution as the US champion, and then it comes down to who's she gonna face, who is the biggest possible opponent for her. And of course, I think the match should be Chelsea Green versus Nikki Bella. This is one where the writing's already on the wall. Chelsea Green has said in multiple interviews that she wants to face Nikki Bella for the US title. Nikki Bella has also confirmed that after the Royal Rumble, she will be returning to WWE in 2025. And now that it's back, Evolution 2 is the perfect place for her return match. She was at the first Evolution, she needs to be at this one. And again, the perfect opponent for her is Chelsea Green. It's a big marquee match, the build for it would be awesome, and because you have Chelsea with her own faction of Piper and Alba, you just know that Nikki Bella is going to need some allies of her own, which is why I could absolutely see Brie Bella returning as well to kind of help even the odds. Just saying. Moving on to the women's tag team titles, currently held by Liv and Raquel. I think they're going to walk into Evolution as the tag team champions. And the biggest possible match I can think that I want to see is them versus Damage Control. Definitely Io Sky, obviously. I don't think she's retaining at WrestleMania, so after that loss, I think WWE is still going to want to keep her hot. And I think it's probably going to be Kairi Sane. She's currently out with an injury, but I just have this hunch that she'll be back by Evolution. It gets your big stars like Liv and Io on the card. Judgment Day versus Damage Control, it makes sense, book it. Now, as previously said, I think you're going to have at least one non-title match. Who is that going to be with? I think Tiffany Stratton. I think she's absolutely going to lose to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, and after she loses, I don't think they're going to go the route where she immediately gets a rematch at Backlash or something. I think they're going to make Tiffany work for it by being thrust into a non-title feud like CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre or Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, where the babyfaces on their way to chase gold get deterred by a heel, they go feud with them for a few months, walk out of it with a victory, and then have the momentum to get back into a title feud. So what do I think this match is going to be? Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus. To me, this makes a lot of sense. For starters, it's Evolution and you want big names, and Trish Stratus is arguably the biggest, most iconic name in the women's division. 2025 is her 25th anniversary with WWE. She's already said that in a bunch of interviews. She was at the Royal Rumble, she was at Elimination Chamber where she teamed up with Tiffany Stratton, so there's some more story there. I'm not so sure she's going to be at WrestleMania, But if Evolution is back, similar to Nikki Bella, this is the perfect place for Trish to come back. Again, she was at the first one, she needs to be at this one. So at some point between WrestleMania and Evolution, all you need is Trish Stratus to turn heel on Tiffany, and then they can culminate this big generational feud at Evolution. Trishy time versus Tiffy time. Bucket. Moving on to the NXT Women's Championship, Stephanie Vaquer will obviously be walking in as champion. So again, if you're following my logic, it comes down to what's the biggest possible match you could do. To me, there are two options. If they want to keep it to women on the NXT roster, I actually think the biggest thing you could do is potentially a triple threat. Stephanie Vaquer versus Jordynne Grace versus Julia. Currently, Julia is out with an injury, but according to reports, it's not super serious. Obviously, it's serious enough that she dropped the title and is off TV, but assuming it's not like Charlotte Flair's injury where she was out for a year, I think it's very possible that Julia comes back for Evolution and you can get this awesome triple threat with the new trinity of NXT. I think it would be awesome. NXT would have a huge presence at the show, and I just wanted to book a triple threat. Now, if they don't want to do that, they could also have a main roster superstar challenge Stephanie for the title. And obviously, the only name that's coming to mind is Bayley, which I hate to say because you'd think Bayley would be going after main roster titles. Again, I would much rather see the triple threat, but Bayley is also another option. Now, moving on to the Mae Young Classic, I have no idea. Full disclosure, I don't watch a lot of NXT. I usually come in for the highlights on YouTube and the big PLEs, so I'm not totally sure of the storylines and where things are going. But if you're going off of what's the biggest, coolest match you could do, why not Zarya versus Sol Ruca? They're currently a tag team, so all you need to do is split them up, put them on opposite sides of the tournament, and then once they get to the finals, there's your match. I love both of them, so I'd be totally down for this match, but also Jada Parker is really popular in NXT, so she could also filter in too. Now, there are two big names that I left off. One of them's Alexa Bliss, mainly because I don't know what WWE is going to do with her. Clearly, she's going to be involved with the Wyatt Six. She's probably going to be their sixth member, and then once Bo Dallas and the rest of the team come back, they will be a new, ready-to-go Wyatt Six, essentially a rebooted Wyatt Six. So because of that, I don't think Alexa Bliss is really going to go after any titles, because why would the Wyatt Six care about titles? Plus, reports have stated that Alexa Bliss isn't going to be at WrestleMania 41 either, which to me is baffling. You have a major star like Alexa Bliss and you're not going to put her at WrestleMania? You could easily just do Liv versus Alexa in a grudge match. So because I have such little information as to what WWE is even going to do with Alexa Bliss, I'm kind of leaving her off the card right now just to be safe. But then the other big name I left off is Naomi. Here's my take. Once Naomi loses to Jade Cargill at WrestleMania and puts her over, she shouldn't be losing to anyone at all. Her new character is so good that she should be going after world titles, whether that's by her winning the Queen of the Ring tournament or the Women's Money in the Bank. But for whatever reason, I couldn't really find a spot for her at Evolution, so if there's a battle royal, Naomi should win. Obviously, she needs to lose to Jade at WrestleMania, but afterwards, if she just becomes a punching bag for the women's division, all of that momentum from the Who Attacked Jade storyline would be gone. That is months of storytelling that you need to capitalize on. But that's it. That is my dream card for Evolution 2025. What did you think? Comment below, let me know, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.